Breakdown Championship Wrestling Breakdown. SCW announcer Jam.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between, I am Jam, and this is the official SCW podcast, which will be going by SCW Breakdown. And for our very first guest, I'm here with one of the most talented competitors on the SCW roster. I'm here with the Widowmaker herself, Ricki Morris. How are you doing today, Ricki?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me, Jam.
Thank you. Thank you for being our very first guest.
Of course, thank you for having the best on your show for first. But
Well, let's just set the tone right away. For anyone not familiar with Ricki Morris, who is Ricki Morris?
Ricki Morris is a good mix of... Ricki is somebody who takes the bad and makes it into good. Ricki was somebody that no one really wanted to mess with as a kid. Ricki was somebody nobody really cared for. And now I'm one of the most rising stars. I'm one of the best ladies in Michigan. So I take the bad and make it into good.
It sounds like you came up from a lot of adversity. Do you mind talking about your childhood a little bit and how that kind of led to your wrestling journey?
Is this my therapy session?
It can be. Doesn't have to be, but it can be.
Well, I can't sit here and say that things were amazing, but obviously, you know, you take what you can from it and you make what you can from it, so. That sounded really stupid. I was trying to be deep, but that wasn't working. But
No, I think it resonates. It certainly resonates with me. So it sounds like with all of the adversity that you kind of went through, wrestling was kind of your outlet, so to speak. Is that correct?
of course, I tell everybody A.J. Lee was my best friend as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, so well, first let me ask, how did wrestling become the outlet for you?
Oh, God. As a kid, I was really big into superheroes. And I was always the smallest of my class. I was always the skinniest. And I always got bullied for that. So being able to watch wrestling and seeing these tiny figures just flip around and take down big monsters, it really showed me that I could do something. And I had power.
Okay. Would you say that Ricki Morris is a superhero?
Yeah, I'd say so. To some people. Probably the ones that are, in trailer parks. But yeah, to some people.
Okay, so how did Ricki Morris become this superhero? What got your foot in the door for professional wrestling?
Oh, man. Not to get, super sad or anything, but I had a very bad episode, and I was like, life's not going good. I'm not going anywhere, I'm not progressing, I'm not moving on. I need something. That's when pro wrestling came in.
Okay. Can you talk about who trained you, or, what school you trained under?
I trained with Truth Martini. Yeah.
Nice. He's trained some of the best minds in our business, so
Yeah.
you definitely came to the right person, it seems like.
Oh, of course. 100%.
Who was someone, or just anyone, that, really made you feel like you belonged here once you got here?
Oh, man. Can it be anybody?
Absolutely anyone.
Absolutely anybody. Not to, cross companies, but Rory Shield. 100%.
Was she a very incredible talent in her own
Of
right?
course. Of course.
What was it about that relationship with Rory Shield that made you feel like, okay, I belong here?
I've known Rory for a very, very long time. And her and I always talked about wrestling. Her and I always dreamed of, what we have right now. So it's really cool to finally make something that you talked about for so long a reality. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's somebody who definitely makes me feel, welcomed or wanted, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned cross promotions a little bit, and you have been well-traveled, so to speak, in the state of Michigan over the last year or so since you started your wrestling career, and you kind of found your feet in SCW. What brought you to SCW specifically?
Oh, man. Specifically SCW. There is just an energy with everybody that is booked, everybody that's on this roster that I just mesh with very well. Everybody from commentary to the wrestlers to people like you. There's always just something there that draws me back to you guys. Mm-hmm. But everybody's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any big long-term goals since you're here in SCW?
I'd say just doing what I'm doing right now, which is being the best. Being the top lady on all of these shows.
Mm-hmm. And truth be told, in just a year you've been active on the wrestling scene, you have proven yourself as one of the best competitors on the SCW roster, not just women's competitors, but competitors in general on the roster. So I think that you molded your acumen, your skill set very well and very fast.
I'd say so.
It's actually one that clocks back to about a year or so ago, like 9-10 months give or change, and you had your first match in SCW, which from what I understand was also your first match period, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that was the first round of the women's tournament to crown the first ever SCW women's champion. It was between yourself, Leela Hall, and oddly enough Jeremiah Goldman, and even more oddly enough Jeremiah Goldman won that contest. But first, before I give my thoughts further on that match, I want to kind of walk me through you walking into your first match.
Oh, God. There is nothing that can really prepare you for it. From when you know it's happening, the build up to it, the night before, the day you wake up, to 5 minutes before you hit that curtain, to the minute you hit that curtain, there is nothing that can prepare you for it. It is horrifying, but also, I can't think of a word, but just more, I can't even think of a word to describe it. It is such an intense feeling. It is so scary. It's like, I can't even describe how it feels, but it's exhilarating. I'll say that.
It sounds very nerve-wracking, too. Like, there's a reason that I'm on the side of the commentary table, where I have an announcer's license, not a wrestler's license. That
Fair.
takes a lot of guts to get in there, and it sounds like it's nerve-wracking before you even hit the ring.
Oh, God, yeah.
But then you get in the ring, and you're staring across Leela Hall and Jeremiah Goldman. What's going through your head when the bell rings for your very first match?
Oh, I could take him. 100%.
Okay, that's...
Easily enough.
Is it like something like a switch kind of pulls? Like you go from being super nervous to, oh, I could take these guys.
100%. Once that bell rings, you get that realization of what is in front of you, and you're like, oh, this is nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something that you carried into all of your matches?
Mostly, yeah.
Okay, so that explains the kind of winning streak that you're on right now. You're,
Oh, 1000%.
you're looking at all your opponents like, okay, I can take them. This isn't as scary as I thought.
100%.
Okay, nice. And going back to that match, while neither you or Leela Hall won that match, I feel like you two kind of cancel each other out, so to speak, almost like fire and ice, or one can even argue that she's The Rock to your Austin, or vice versa. Like, you two are intersecting very often in, like, the last year. Like, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you two have faced off about 8 times in and out of SCW over the last year.
The way I see it, Leela is my biggest competition. Her and I started together. Her and I have trained together. I know what she does. She knows what I do. I constantly have to keep one-upping her. And I hope the same for her.
Okay. How do you go into a match with someone who was trained under the same type of training and basically thinks the same way you think?
What can I learn, or what can I do that will outsmart her? What can I do that she doesn't know that I know? What's something I can learn that she won't be able to handle?
Okay. What is it about Leela Hall that, like, you think that you two kind of click on that level, where you're just two sides of the same coin in the ring?
I feel like it's that almost like sibling rivalry almost, where it's like there's a part of you that loves them, but more hate than anything. It's a very strong give and take.
Now, I imagine you both trained under House of Truth, right?
Yes.
Okay. What was that like? Were you able to bond in that kind of regard?
We were the only two ladies. We only really had each other.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. And what was that like, just being one of the only few women on there?
Like I said, you develop like a strong sisterhood. And then she thinks she's better than you, and you have to knock her down a few pegs, so.
Okay. Is that what kind of results in this ongoing feud that you two have going on?
Typically, yeah.
Okay. And it's all about just kind of one-upping the other, just trying to bring the best out of each other, but also prove who is the best, I imagine.
100%.
Where do you think you're at now? Do you feel like you're both equals, or do you think that you're the best?
I'd still say I'm the best.
Okay. Okay. Hey, did you feel like you were the best at Lincoln Park Band Show?
Oh, 1,000%. 100%. I know I'm the best, and I knew I was the best walking into that.
Okay. Even with the low, let's say, referee shenanigans going on during that contest?
You and I have been over this. There was no shenanigans. I won fair and square. Whatever Ike Watts was doing is none of my business.
Okay, fair enough. But as I said that night, given what the critics are saying, do you have anything in response to different critics?
Oh, people will run their mouth over anything. I know what I did, which was beat Leela Hall. Leela knows what she did, which was lose. And whatever Ike Watt knows is what he knows. So. And what the critics know is nothing. So.
Okay, fair enough. Let's say that, because I imagine that Leela Hall isn't done with you after that night. Would you be open to a rematch, perhaps at our next show or at any of our next shows coming up?
Again?
I mean, if you want to silence the critics.
What do they know? What do they need to know that I don't know? And I know that I'm the best. I know I can beat Leela. No problem. Hands tied behind my back. They're just mad that their little Princess of Wyandotte lost.
Okay, fair enough. Strong words. But I imagine that you do need some strong words like that to be on the winning streak that you're on now, right?
Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very few people on the SCW roster have the same type of winning streak that you have, or the same type of momentum that you have. Leela Hall is the only other person I can think of, and maybe also someone like Heather Blue, who, from what I recall, at SCW Confidential a few weeks ago, or a few episodes ago, you did have some strong words for Heather Blue, and the last time you two shared a ring, she did beat you, and then you two had a little bit of a brawl later in the night, so I imagine there's some unfinished business there as well.
Heather won by sheer luck. She had no place being in a match with me. I don't think she knew what she was doing completely, to be honest. And she had what was coming to her. She knew not to meet me out there. She wanted to help out Miss Little Brittany Kay. And now look at her. Black eye, nowhere to be found.
Okay. Let's say Heather Blue does show up in SCW again. Is that a rematch that you'd be willing to consider?
What does she need a rematch for? When she's already gotten one little win on me, she can go parade around at all these other little places, acting like she's the big dog. But I don't think she needs another one.
Okay. Hey, well, I also want you to consider this as well, because that was a big night in SCW history. Someone you're very familiar with, Sabrina Kyle, did win the Women's Championship, and from that brawl, which involved yourself, Heather Blue, Miss Hana, and also Brittany Kay, that was really the first night it really felt like that the women's division was heating up right now. And you said earlier that you see Leela Hall as kind of your competition. Who else on the women's division would you say is kind of your competition?
Well, let's see. Beat Little Missy, so that doesn't matter. Brittany Kay's too scared to come back and face me. Miss Hana. Girl's old. I don't know what she's doing anymore. Sabrina Kyle. I can't lay a hand on her. It's like my family at that point. That's like the big sister I never got. I have to train under her, protect her, and also save this division. And take care of her light work while she is out defending that title. So, really no one but Miss Leela.
Okay. But I want to go back to what you just said about Sabrina Kyle a little bit. For listeners not familiar with your relationship with Sabrina Kyle, our SCW Women's Champion, can you explain what makes you two so close? Where did that come from?
The bond of feeling left out. Sabrina saw what I had. She saw that I could do things nobody else could. And she took me in. And she treated me as one of her own. And that's something I can never repay back.
Mm-hmm.
So I owe her. I really do.
Okay, well, I'm glad you were able to find that sort of mentorship. It sounds like a very, very close-knit bond you two have.
Of course.
Yes, but with that said, as I mentioned earlier, you do have a winning streak right now, and with most winning streaks, that usually amounts to an eventual title shot. And you just said that you can never put your hands on Sabrina Kyle, but Sabrina Kyle is the women's champion right now. Does that conflict with your goals for gold?
It's a double-edged sword. I've thought about it, and I'm not too sure how it might go. But I'm smart, Sabrina's smart, and we'll figure something out.
Okay. Well, let's think about how that could go, because I imagine that, let's say, because I think this is a main event in any venue, personally.
As it should.
Sabrina Kyle versus Ricki Morris for the women's championship. That can go with either you defeating her for the championship or she successfully retaining against you. In a scenario where you do beat her for the title, do you still see that relationship still being strong, still blossoming after that?
If I were to take the title, I'd like to see it as a nice family heirloom. So I would hope the relationship would remain well. If she were to retain the title, it'd be just another case of teacher versus student. So no hard feelings.
Okay. That's something to keep an eye on going forward. So, do you feel like you're ready for Women's Championship right now?
100%. Been ready, born ready.
Okay. That is some cocky feelings right there, but it doesn't come without some evidence to back it up. You're on a winning streak for a reason.
Exactly.
And as we talk about the SCW roster, I'm very curious, are there any matches on the horizon that's kind of like a, let's say, a dream match for you? Be it with not even just the women's division, but any men on the roster you'd like to wrestle?
I want my rematch with Jeremiah. No weapons.
No, okay. Is that you putting out the challenge right now?
That's up to him to decide.
Okay. Maybe that's something to put up with SCW management about. I'd certainly see money in that match.
I think so. I think people want to see me knock a couple of the last few teeth he has left.
Okay. Do you have any like close personal like dream matches in general? Like if you can look outside of the SCW roster.
Outside. Still never got a match with Stella Boohoo.
Really?
Never have.
Wow. That's surprising. That's another one who's kind of been on fire on the independent circuit right now. That's a match I'd love to see.
Oh,
personally.
100%. That's a match I've wanted for a while.
I definitely think you both are two of the best women's wrestlers in the state of Michigan, personally. So that's something that hopefully someone's savvy to and would like to see you two cross paths anytime soon.
I hope so. Just don't want PETA on me.
Fair enough. So with that in mind, with everything we talked about, is there anything that you'd want the listeners to know as like a closing thoughts, or just any challenge you want to put to another wrestler, just any last minute words that you'd want to give?
Well, I'm only just getting started. That's all I got.
There you have it, folks. That was Ricki Morris, and this was the first episode of SCW Breakdown.
This is Superior Championship Wrestling Breakdown.
Thank you for listening to SCW Breakdown, the official podcast of Superior Championship Wrestling. You can subscribe to us on all podcasting platforms and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X at Superior Championship Wrestling to keep in touch for when the next episode of SCW Breakdown is set to release.